Welcome back, fam. Metaphysics on Your Mind. We're in installment 3, or part 3 of the Bible and meditation. So if you checked out the first 2 installments, just to recap the last installment, I should say, we talked about the creation of duality. How in Genesis 1:1, God created heaven and the earth. And we're gonna go, here's another proposition for you. We're gonna propose, again, you're doing all this as if, hey, I don't know if this guy is just talking smack, or if he knows what he's talking about, or whatever. You're gonna go along with this because I believe that when we move through this, you'll be able to see the stories, the narrative in this book, perhaps a different way. And you might be able to benefit from that in a way that prior to that you weren't. And the idea is that if you go along with this as if, remember we said that there was a entity or being called God. We'll call that the One. Now the One has created something called heaven and earth. And I'm going to propose, and again, as we move through this, we're going to double back many, many times. So I'm going to propose that God, if heaven and earth were created, I'm going to propose that heaven is divine spirit, and earth in this context is divine mind. Okay? Heaven is divine spirit, earth is divine mind. So this entity called God, or I'm going to say being, okay, we have to define what is God then. Divine spirit, divine mind. We're going to say that, let's get some space here. We're going to say that God is the most primal way to put this would be awareness. And many people have heard this that there's something called consciousness, right? So we have consciousness is awareness, right? I'm aware that I'm speaking about metaphysics and the Bible and meditation. Tony, who's behind the camera, and he's on the music end. He's also doing a little DJing for the background music. He's aware that he's in the room. He's standing behind the camera, and I'm writing on the board. So consciousness is just awareness. Awareness okay. Awareness presumes being. Does that make sense, C?
Yeah.
Consciousness is awareness. That's the most basic, elemental aspect of being. It's just being aware. I'm aware I'm hot. I'm aware I'm cold. I'm aware of light and dark. Being. We would say being alive. But That's awareness. When you're dead, you're no longer aware. At least your body isn't. We'll go into that. But the body, when it dies, is no longer aware. While it's alive, while you are present in the body, you are being. Right? That makes sense? Okay. So, first day of creation. We're not going to go through the whole creation story. All we're trying to do is fill in our set piece. Because remember, this show, this play, this game requires a set piece that we're operating on. It's like, in order to do his thing, back in the day, Michael Jordan, he needs a court, right? That's how he displays his skill set athletically, is on a basketball court. So here, this is our field of play. Earth, the heavens, or the sky, and we're filling this in. We're using these tools, our sampling tools, right, to get into this and explore these ideas that are in this book. Okay, so now we have day one of creation. God, or supreme being, first being, only being, however you want to phrase it. I'm going to say divine spirit, divine mind. We're going to get more into details on what exactly that means. But heaven and earth, divine spirit, divine mind. Then God said, let there be light. He created light, a greater light to rule the day, a lesser light to rule the night. That's all on day one. So we have the duality created by something called light, that's in contrast to what was dark. Okay? So duality is kind of like the train we're on right now. Okay. What we're doing is I'm going to jump to day 4 of creation. And because day 4 is going to bring our next group of players to our set piece, to our game, right? So far we've got God, heaven and earth, light and dark. Now we're going to bring in more players into the game. We're going to jump to day 4. Day 2 and day 3 we'll come back to. The mysticism or the veil on those is, I think, a little bit more sophisticated than if we just go to day 4. We can at least get our set piece together and we can come back to the other days. But we're not going to go through that whole book. We're not going to, the idea of these presentations, it's not just going to be about the Bible. We're going to see that this basically cross-pollinates with every aspect of human existence. Okay? So let's get this off here now. So we already know awareness is consciousness, and we're going to call God the highest consciousness, or the first consciousness, or both. We got heaven and earth, divine spirit, divine mind, light and dark. Duality. But everything's good so far. As it said, he said everything is good. Okay. So now let's get, we're gonna be moving and grooving. Once we get our set piece together, then we can really, start making some progress. Okay, so this is Genesis. Again, if you have your Bible, I'm reading from the King James Version. As I told you before, the idea is that you want to stay as close to possible to the originals. And for what we have in English today, King James Version is going to be closer to the original than any of the paraphrase versions. So again, I invite you to, slug it out with the old English that's in the King James, but you can penetrate it, and we're going to show more examples of that. So Genesis 1:14, and God said, this is going to be day, he's just done day 3, where he brought forth, well, let's go back to day 2. He talked about the waters being gathered together in one place and dry land appearing, and God called dry land earth, and gathering together the waters he called seas, and God saw it was good. And then the earth brought forth grass, and so on and so forth. And basically, this is the 3rd day. So now we're going into Genesis 1:14, and it says, and God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs, and for seasons, and for days, and for years. And let them be for lights in the firmament of heaven to give light upon the earth. And it was so. And God made 2 great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. And then a couple more verses. And God set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. Okay, so that's day 4, the evening and the morning were the 4th day. We're leading up to just establishing our players. So the next set of players are going to be, as we just read, the lights in the heavens. Let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and for years. That's where we're going now. So we already have our elements set up on this. This is a wheel that we're using as a symbol, just like that's a symbol. It's not the actual sky. That's not the actual earth. It's a symbol, shorthand, to represent the sky. So we're going to fill in our players, as Genesis was talking about lights in the heavens and so on and so forth. So our first player, and just go with this. Remember, you're going to do this as if. You don't have to believe it. You're going along with it so we can do this exploration, and we're going to find out whether or not we're on shaky ground or whether we're on, a little bit more solid ground in our thesis that the Bible is not necessarily a literal book of truth in the way that it's written, but that it contains truth in the actual esoteric. Remember, we said esoteric is the hidden meaning, and exoteric is the cover, is the outer story. So what we just read was an outer story, and it's left to you to discern whether or not that outer story is literally or figuratively conveying something to you, or both. So our players, we're going to throw them in real quick, because the whole point is I want to keep these installments relatively short, because I know people don't have a lot of time and so on and so forth. So I'm trying to get these all pretty much between 20-25 minutes each, and this is just going to be a continuation. So you don't necessarily even have to check these out in order, because we're going to be doubling back and forth, and so on and so forth. So let's get our next group of players. You'll see this wheel, our sky, is numbered from 1 to 12. Okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to do it in relation to this symbol here, Earth. So this figure, this stick figure here, is facing you. So his right side, where his right hand holding this book, is the east, right? And the sun rises in the east. So we're going to start this wheel of characters on the eastern horizon. Okay, so we're going to say this is east. Just like down here, we have east. This is from this character's standpoint, so it's the opposite for you. But for him, this is east, west, north, south, okay? East, east. This wheel is called the zodiac that we're about to write in. And again, I caution everyone that might have a knee-jerk reaction. Hang in there. We're about to get popping. All right, so we're starting on this wheel that's 360 degrees. It's divided into 12 segments, and each segment is 30 degrees, right? 30 degrees is the reason why you have 30 days roughly in a month, and 30 times 12 is 360. That's why a year is roughly 360, 365 days a year. All of this stuff was based upon the movement of the heavens, okay, the planets, and there's some really important ones. First one is, let's just start with the zodiac. So the first, what's called a sign, because remember, these lights were put in the heavens for seasons and signs and times and days and years and so on and so forth, is a character called Aries. And Aries is a ram. Zodiac, actually, just means in Greek, circle of animals. Okay? That's zodiac. That's what this is. So there are 88 constellations in the sky, but 12 of them, these 12 are, we're going to say, are special. Okay? And you'll see why as we move forward. So the first sign we're going to say is Aries, the ram. And Aries is always beginning in what? Roughly around, I think it's the 21st of March of every year. That's the time of the spring equinox. The spring bursts forth. You know, the plants start blooming and so on and so forth. So the year, unlike New Year's Day or whatever, the year in the cycle of nature always begins in the spring when there's new life coming out of the cold of the winter. So Aries is, I think, March 21st to April 22nd or 21st, which is spring. That's where we begin. And again, we're going to say on this wheel that each 3 signs represents a season, because it does. So this is the spring. Next sign. Let's keep it moving. This character's name is Taurus. This is our big show. This is our as if. I'm not asking you to believe anything. Okay? Taurus is a bull. Right? Then the next sign is a character called Gemini. And Gemini is known as the twins. Okay? So we have 2 animals to start out, and now we have a sign called the twins. This is spring. So March to April, April to May, May to June. Now we're heading into summer. Okay. And we'll get into what the elements are and all that stuff, but we just want to get our characters up there first, and then we can discuss them a little bit more at length. Next sign is Cancer. And Cancer is a crab. Okay, that's our fourth sign or fourth constellation of the zodiac of the 12. Next sign is Leo. And Leo's a lion. Next sign is Virgo. And Virgo is the Virgin. Right? Something like that. Our seventh sign. So now we've got summer, right? The signs of summer are Cancer, Leo, Virgo. So now we're heading into autumn, into the fall. The next sign is Libra. And Libra is the scales. So you know that scale that you can weigh, that's Libra. Next sign is Scorpio. Scorpio is a scorpion. Right? Our ninth sign, we're in the fall now, we're in autumn, is Sagittarius. And Sagittarius is the archer. Okay. The 10th sign is Capricorn. That's the 10th character in this particular part of our story. The 11th, next to last sign, which we'll be talking about a lot throughout this series, is Aquarius. Okay? Oh, Capricorn, we didn't throw. Capricorn's a goat. Aquarius is the water bearer. And the last sign is Pisces, and that's the fishes. Okay, we've got our 12 characters for this part of the story. These 12 constellations, these 12 signs, you're familiar with them to a degree. We're going to go into a little bit more of the actual story that's being told through these characters, and we're going to do that in the next installment. So make sure you come back, check it out, and we're about to have some fun. Once again, peace.